Welcome. Episode 14, Revelations with me. My name is Kid Revel. If it's your first time here, welcome. Thank you for joining us. And if you're a returning viewer, thanks for coming back. I'm glad you're back. If it's your first time here, Revelations is just a show about, turning your passion turning your passion into a business and a career. And it's about really my life as an independent artist and trying to give you guys some I can't say tips because it's like I'm just sort of giving context as to what I'm doing at the moment. And I don't need to explain it that much more than that. If you've seen the show, you know what's up. If you haven't, then I guess you will. So if you don't mind, hit that like button real quick, help us finesse the algorithm. And if you're watching this after the fact, drop a comment. If you're here, say what's up in the chat. If you're not subscribed already, do it. And hit the notification bell icon if you want to get updated whenever we go live. So, yeah. And also, real quick, I've got my technician, Ben, here mic'd up. So, because I don't have the chat in front of me during like this setup here. So, if you guys say anything cool or important in the chat, if you have any comments, if you have any questions, shoot them in the chat because Ben will be able to relay them to me. So what's up, Ben?
So Jaden has said that he's on the road, but he's watching. So.
Bet. Listening on the road, bro. That's how you do it. That's how you got to do it. So if you're watching this after the fact, we go live every Monday, 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. And if you're watching this right now, you know that already. So today's topic, what is it? Today is called, what is today's episode called? Today's episode is called, Work Ethic is Everything. Thank you, Joey. Work ethic is everything. And that's very self-explanatory, I think. Obviously we're going into more detail than that, but I'm going to start it off by sort of giving why I think developing a solid work ethic is so important, because for me, I know that through school and through other things like that were mandatory throughout my life, I found ways to almost finesse the work ethic part of things, because some people had a really, really good work ethic in school and got a lot of things done. School for me was really like an energy drain, and it felt like the complete opposite. And so when taking that same sort of work ethic and the same habits that I had from school into music, into creating things that I was passionate about, it really didn't mesh well, because I didn't know how to have a really good work ethic when it came to things I really did care about. All I knew was the work ethic of me fucking around and sort of finessing my way through the other shit. And you can't finesse your way through things that you want to put a lot of effort and time into, because it's not going to turn out the way you want it to. And then you're just wasting your time and energy on bullshit. So I guess that was just like a quick intro to this whole thing. And
Jesse said what's good.
What up, Jesse? Jesse's in the chat. What up, my boy? So that's sort of just a quick intro as to what we're talking about this episode. So yeah, that's why I think a good work ethic is so important. But I'm going to relate this sort of back to what I'm doing a little bit, because that's the best way for me to apply it to the context that you guys might have. So, like I said, through school and all that other stuff, I sort of came up with a work ethic that was sort of finesse. But at the beginning of my music stuff, it felt really easy to just make something because there was no weight behind it. There was no expectations on my end. And so when you come into it, it's really easy, and it's easy to just do it as a hobby and do it for fun, and then you don't even think about it as work ethic. But if you're trying to turn something like making music or making art or making clothes or whatever it is into a business, you need to apply the best work ethic you can to it, because this shit isn't easy. It's not like you're just working a cookie cutter job and you're just like, okay, do these few things, graduate from college with this degree, and then talk to this guy and da 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 da, and then you have a job. Or it's not like that. Like, you genuinely have to make this shit from the ground up, and that's why it's so difficult to find, like, unless you're very naturally just like gifted at like grinding and hustling your ass off when it comes to this stuff. You know, a lot of people aren't. I know I wasn't. So coming into it, it was really like a hobby, and then I got to the point where, you know, I guess probably like 2 years in, I was really, like, I started stressing out about the music shit, you know, rather than just finding it fun. I started finding like more reasons to that my music wasn't good enough, or finding reasons that the streams I were getting like wasn't enough, or whatever. I was coming up with excuses that my shit wasn't doing as well as it should have. So then that became a whole separate thing, and that's a whole other topic. I feel like learning to treat your passion as like, I would say a business, but more treat it less as a hobby and more as a, I can't say full time, but as a primary focus is what I should say, right? So when you're treating it as a primary focus, it's going to carry the weight and the stress of other primary focuses in your life. And when it goes from a hobby to that can be really stressful. And I know it was for me, because I really didn't know where I was at, because it went from a hobby, and then I just decided this is going to be my life, and then I needed to figure out everything after that. So I feel like, you know, a lot of people might have that, where you enjoy something a lot and you don't necessarily know that you want to turn it into your livelihood. But then there comes a point when you're like, you know what, there's nothing else I would rather do, and I'd be the happiest with that, in that position, and doing that for a living. And that can be really stressful. It's like a quarter life crisis almost, I call it, or like even less than a quarter maybe. Or it's just like you're so young, and yet you're freaking out about like what you're going to do with the rest of your life, even though you have so long ahead of you. So that's really the best way I could put it into context for myself is I really had to develop a good work ethic in terms of recording music, dropping the music, taking pictures, doing promotional shit. I really had to come up with methods that would put me in the zone to really get all these things done, and not a week before I had to drop the shit or whatever, because that creates a lot more stress in your life than you think it will, especially when you're doing it as a hobby and you can drop something on any day of the week and you don't give a single fuck. That's just how it is. And some artists can still do that because they have a big enough fan base for that to maximize everything. But when you're trying to be strategical about these things, work ethic is literally like, it's the base of everything you're doing. Because if you're not getting anything done, then you're just either thinking or talking about things. You know what I mean? And that's not, that's not getting anybody anywhere. So yeah, I guess that's really what I have to say about that. Do you have any comments, Ben? I'm gonna bounce off you just because, for time's sake.
Not really.
No? Okay.
Not too much.
Well, I have the agenda on my phone here. I always have this on my computer in case you guys wonder. I'm always looking at my phone throughout the stream. I usually can just look off to the left or the right and then just see my topics and shit. So, talking about developing a good work ethic. So, and I always need to preface these segments. I don't know what it'd be called, but I always need to preface these little sections with, this is my experience, obviously, and everything that I say applies to me and me specifically because it's literally what I've done. You know what I mean? So if you try some of the shit that I say and then it doesn't work out for you, don't be discouraged by that. is all I really like to preface this by saying. So for me, it was a process. It was a fucking process. It was about going from the school work ethic, which was get it done like the night before it's due, and taking that into music, where it was like, I'm trying to get this cover art done literally the night I'm dropping it, to I had to find my way into, getting things done really early, which is something people do in school. People who are good at school know this shit, but I don't know it like that because I was kind of a slacker in school a little bit. But anyway, I'm trying to remember where I was at. So it was a transition, right? So I would say the best way to start developing it is to and we've talked about this in the setting goals episode, in the what's your mountain episode. We talked about this a little bit. You sort of have to set waypoints for yourself, and this is going to go into a little bit more of like a longer, not longer, but this is relating to another topic I have for this episode, and that's holding yourself accountable. And so you really have to look at the goals you have, and to look at the things that you're doing on a day-to-day basis, and really analyze them and think, could I be doing more, A, and B, am I doing the right things? Because a lot of the times you can come up with things throughout your day and think you're busy, and you're really the opposite of busy. You're just, or you're busy, but you're creating busy work for yourself rather than creating things that are going to get you steps further in whatever it is you're doing. And that's really easy for me to do. Like I'm somebody who's really I'm really into like, writing like a checklist for the day, right? Like writing like my tasks for the day and then going down it. And it's really easy at the beginning of the day to just fill that list with things that are pretty much bullshit. And I feel like that's easy for anybody, especially when you're first getting into the whole like productivity thing, and like trying to maximize your work ethic and get more things done. So it's a slow but steady process, I think. I think it's about thinking about the goals you want to do, and then thinking about the things that you're doing on a day-to-day basis, and really analyzing and thinking about those things rather than just saying, okay, this is what I'm going to do today, and not really giving any fucks besides that, and then thinking that you were productive through that day or you got something done because of that. It's really about, being self-aware in exactly what you're doing, and exactly, what you want to get done, right? You need to think about the end goal as well. That's a big part of setting goals and that kind of stuff, is knowing where you want to end up. And sometimes working backwards with that kind of stuff is really helpful. Working from your goal backwards into what it is you're doing right now, and just sort of making like a backwards schedule, I guess, or just working it backwards. I think you get what I mean. So yeah, I would say that's really a good basic way to start. But another thing I would have to say about work ethic is you can never make excuses when it comes to the work ethic, when it comes to this specifically, building a passion into a business or turning into a career, or making it profitable. There's a big difference between damn, I completely forgot what I was about to say. Like, I forgot what I did. Do you remember what I just said?
Not really, but I had something that I was going to say.
Okay, yeah, you just say that, because literally, I'm just going to try and remember.
It's all good. Well, you were talking about, like, how people create excuses, and I was like, I think, like, people kind of fall into two different camps, whether, like, they're either kind of, like, waiting around for, like, a golden opportunity, like, something to fall into their lap.
Mm-hmm.
And that could be in any field, like whether that's like getting some discovered by a label or something like that.
Yeah.
Or they make up the excuse of like, oh, I need this or that. Like if they're
that's a good point.
If they're like trying to do sports or be a professional athlete, they might blame it on the gyms being closed or COVID or something like that, even though you could work out by yourself, and plenty of people do. Or saying you don't have a good enough mic or a good enough set of speakers or a program or something like that, and that's why you can't do this and that, when in reality, I mean, people have created, at least when we're talking about music, really, really great songs and entire albums with very, very little.
Their phone
and GarageBand and shit like that. So
Yeah, I think we touched on that on the What's Your Mountain episode a little bit, but that's a good point to bring up in the work ethic episode. I think is that it's excuses and being well, I don't know if that's tied together. Excuses are always going to literally just, if you're the type of person to make excuses for things and not do things right when you think of them, or at least write them down, or set a time to do something when you think of it, or take action on something immediately, it's so easy to just be like, I'm gonna do that tomorrow. And I think that's
Right. I think that's like almost like human nature, right?
Yeah.
Like, it's a lot easier to say, I'll do that tomorrow, or I'll work on this tomorrow, and fill your day up with busy work and things like that, so that you feel busy, and then, you're doing this today and hanging out with this person tomorrow and going to this store the next day, and yada yada yada. And that kind of like mentally that suppress, like if you feel busy, you don't have to deal with the fact that you might not be working to an overall
100%,
goal.
100%.
And writing it, for instance, for you or I, writing down your goals and writing down what you need to do for that day might be really helpful, because you're actually trying to get through that shit. But for somebody that might not have a goal, or might not have something they're trying to achieve, even finding something to write down might be hard, and then figuring out how to attain that and how to work towards that might be even harder. So that might be scary for them.
Yeah.
And that's probably why a lot of people don't. You know what I mean?
That's fair.
Don't go for their goals and don't achieve them.
Yeah. That's a good point. But I think that what it comes down to with that is being self-aware and being able to to look at the fact that maybe you don't know exactly what your passion is, and maybe you don't have a thing to chase, but there are more things to do than forget about it and continue that. And obviously, like you said, it's human nature, but the flaw with that is that's an excuse for those people. Oh, it's just my nature. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, it is your nature, but it's also not, because human nature technically, I think, would be, we actually have, well, I guess this completely relates to what you're saying. In the day-to-day, your body gets anxious, and you start to freak out if you don't have something going on, because your human nature is to do things, to get things done, to be productive, to hunt, find shelter, find food, etc., etc. And so when you don't have a direct goal and something that you're passionate about, it's easy to fill your day up with complete bullshit and think that you're doing those things because you are fulfilling that human nature.
Out of sight, out of mind.
Yeah, I agree with you. But, then obviously you don't need to have the answer for this, but the question that I would pose to whatever is like, okay, but then what do you do with that time if it's not going to be shopping, and they don't know their passion, and maybe they don't have a passion?
I suppose that's a tough one,
right? Because it's like, for me, what I think is everybody has something that they're genuinely interested in besides shopping and doing other shit.
Yeah.
But it's like, I don't know everybody on the planet. I don't know if people are genuinely like so lost in their own shit that they genuinely don't fucking have a
Well, I think there's
an idea.
Kind of there's working towards an overall goal, which is like, possibly a career or something like that, which is, what we were talking about. But there's also, people that won't take opportunities right in front of them. Like, they might not have a job right now and complain about not having a job, but then if they might turn down a job at like Chick-fil-A or McDonald's or something like that because they don't want to work at a fast food place. So I think there's kind of like, I lost where I was going.
No, but that kind of brings us into the topic that I was gonna go into next, and in that specific scenario that you just described, it's like accountability is where you need to come to, right?
Yeah.
If you are in a place where you're genuinely like, damn, I just got fired from my job, I don't know what I want to do with my life, etc., etc., it's your responsibility to figure out what you want to do and get out of that rut, especially if you're the type of person to be like, oh, I don't have this and I don't have this, so I can't do this. Yeah. That's all accountability and self-awareness, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And the hardest part is like, we're kind of just going around in circles here a little bit, is like, how do you teach somebody self-awareness? I think a big part is having people who are honest with you around you. I think that's a big part. is making sure the people in your circle are honest with you and will tell you what you're genuinely good at and bad at.
Yeah, you also have to have like people, like a common word for it is like street smarts, but not really like that, but
I call it common sense
and like a sense of reality, you know, like some people don't really know, like you could say like some uberly rich kids might not know what the worth of like $1 is or something like that, even that's like a saying, but that kind of goes with what you were saying there. Yeah, no, I don't really
yeah
I don't really know.
No, yeah. I
don't know how
don't
you do
think
that.
that's something, but I think that if you are able, maybe if you have self-awareness, but if you don't tap into it, I think a lot of people might be more like that. A lot of people might know deep down certain things, but they put on a front because they have something about them that they don't like, or something that's holding them back from being honest with themselves. Maybe they live in a community or a family where that shit's frowned upon. If they want to be like a dancer or something, and they're like, you know what I mean, like some shit like that. I think that's probably a big part, because there's a lot of people who grow up in situations where their parents want them to be something that they don't want to be.
Yeah.
Like a lot. And your parents are a much bigger part of I feel like your goals and aspirations than you want to admit.
Yeah.
Right? Like it's weird to think about it, but like when I think about like what are my goals and aspirations, I want to be like a really big artist. I want to make a career off my music. I want to, start a label. I thought about this literally the other day. I haven't really said this any other time. I want to start music schools in like third world countries because dude, the amount of talent that's in places like that we just don't have access to. It's like those kids are because like they're viscerally talented, because they don't have auto-tune. They don't have the ability to do what I did and just edit their way to sounding good.
Yeah.
Even though I think I sound decent now, I edited my way at the beginning.
Yeah.
They all have visceral talent. So that's a big thing for me and this is a tangent, sorry guys. That's a big thing for me, is that I want to create opportunities within the niche that I'm in, which is music, within the industry that I'm in, and that would be creating music schools in whether it's third world countries or just communities that are not doing so well. I think that'd be really cool.
Yeah.
I kind of forgot exactly what the point of that whole thing was.
We were talking about like holding yourself accountable.
Yeah. So yeah, that's what I would definitely say, that even if you're in a place or community where it's not exactly accepted, or not exactly, it's hard for you to be honest, or hard for you to be truly honest with yourself or with other people, I think the best advice that I would have for that is really just focus on that continually. You don't have to do it publicly. You don't have to do it. If you're forced to be under your parents' roof, or you're forced to be, you don't need to do all these things outwardly, but continue to do them, continue to write, continue to do whatever it is you can do on your own time, because it's not like you're going to live with your parents forever. I don't know any situation where you're going to be forced to live with your parents forever, and you need to let that fuel you into a place where you're willing to have the work ethic to grind and get out of that situation, because it's, fortunately for me, and I'm just like, I'm thankful every fucking day for the shit that I have, and for the fact that my parents are so accepting and so willing to support me in the shit that I'm doing. Like, not everybody has that shit. So that's what I would say. I would say you really need to foster that shit and use that to your advantage, because that's not a lot of people are in that situation. And honestly, it's probably easier for me to be lazy than people who are in that situation, because for me, it's like, it's not as much pressure, because I'm like, oh, everybody's accepting, nobody's gonna get mad at me if I fail, yada yada yada. Those people are in a situation where it's do or die. You know what I mean? It's like they get that done, or they get shunned by their family forever type shit. So it's like,
I mean, if I had to guess, that there's probably a lot of kids that feel like, or not, I wouldn't say kids, but like people that are in college and stuff like that, and either possibly deciding to like how you said, their parents want them to be this, and they might want to be something else, or their parents want them to be this, and they don't know what they want to be. They might feel, like you said, that their parents or their family will disown them, but like at the end of the day, like your parents love you just for genuinely, like, you know, who you are.
Sometimes.
Like
Most of the time, dude. Some people.
99% of the time. Like, yes, there are some oddball cases where, like, oh, you didn't do this the way I wanted you to do it.
But here's the thing: is I feel like I've heard too many stories about kids whose parents are. It's a majority immigrant parents, and this isn't like a stereotype. Because immigrant parents come to this country with an idea of this is what we're gonna do with our family. We're gonna get out of this fucking hellhole that we were just in, and shit's gonna be great. And then those expectations, all the work that they put in getting to America, doing all these things, are completely fucking shot out the window by their kid who's doing all this shit. Some parents hold like deep resentment for their children for that shit. Like, are genuinely like fucking hateful.
Well, yes,
which
but
is crazy.
I would argue that the reason why those sentiments are there is because the parents, like you said, they could be immigrant families, and you know, this is they maybe didn't get to go to college. Their children are their first. This is the first chance in their family of being able to go to college, and if they choose not to, like, you know, be a doctor, lawyer, or whatever the fuck, they could hold those feelings of ill will. But I think that's more because they see that those professions are high chances of financial security. So when their child decides to not do that, that sort of hatred is more born out of, you know, being scared for their child or something like that. Because I've seen, at least from what, like, if we're watching like TV or something like that, because they'll have, you know, little like shows like that, or on YouTube, because they'll be on YouTube, or just anything like any social media or anything like that. If they prove to be, you know, making money and financially independent and not having any problems in their life, I don't really think that it'd be a problem for them to come around.
No, I think, at the end of the day, you might be right. Like, after everything is said and done, at the end of their life, it might not be like that.
Yeah, there is the in-between, though.
But I think there are some people that are parents that are genuinely completely just fucked in the head. Yeah, and those people are like, they genuinely just don't have love for their kid because maybe they never even wanted kids. You know what I mean? Like there are situations that happen like that.
Yeah, no doubt.
And that was a major tangent. So we're going to get right back to it. So we're going to move on to the next topic. Already 30 minutes in, which is pretty good. So I guess going off of the whole accountability thing, because a lot of the work ethic that we were sort of talking about,
Lil Terra said in the comments, "Fuck you, Kid Revel locked us out. We're over."
Yeah,
as a joke.
Obviously.
And then Aiden also. I think that's Aiden.
I like how he's watching this.
Yeah,
that's funny. Fuck you.
In the cold.
So I completely forgot where I was going. So off the whole accountability situation, that's sort of how I really developed my work ethic. I think is I started becoming very self-aware and very self-conscious about, not self-conscious, like, is that the right word? Is self-aware the better word than self-conscious for that?
I think self-conscious is more like I guess feeling bad about yourself.
So like I really developed my self-awareness through, and like I said, this is like, I don't know this for sure, but it's like my family and my friends have always been really honest with me throughout my life. So it's allowed me to be really a lot more honest with myself. You know, my parents are probably less honest with me than my homies are, because I would play like my dad a song and I'm sure he would say like, "Oh yeah, that's good," like da 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 da. But like I would play like Trip a song and Trip would be like, "That's alright, but like you could do better than that." And then I'm like, "Okay, yeah, you're right." And also it's a part of, like, you know, I can't give myself no credit, because at the end of the day, if I genuinely thought all these people are tripping, my shit's amazing, this and that, there are people like that. So part of it was me just going like, yeah, you know what, I'm not as good as I could be. And now I'm at a point where it's like the complete opposite for me. Like, I'm like, I think I'm dog shit no matter how good I am, which is maybe a good thing, maybe a bad thing, but I think it's good, because for me, it allows me to not really compare myself to anybody else, because like I think everybody else is better than me, even if they're not, right? And so it's like I just work that much harder because I think everybody else is better than me. Not everybody, obviously, but you know what I mean. Like, I often see other people in a better light than I see myself, because I'm myself, if that makes any sense. So just you know, holding yourself accountable for very for everything that you're doing, what you're not doing is also an important thing. If you are looking at each of your days like, oh, I'm getting all these things done, but you have something in the back of your head that you know you need to do, but it's like a more difficult thing to do and you're pushing it off because whatever, holding yourself accountable for that and realizing that everything will be fucking better when that thing is done is very important. And I still have problems with that to this day, and you know, that's why I can talk about this stuff on the show, because it's like these are things I've experienced and I still experience, that there are certain things throughout, whether it's dropping a song or whether it's doing a post on Instagram or whatever it is, it's like I have like a lot of anxiety about it, and so I try and find excuses, I try and find reasons it won't work, I try and find this and that, and then it's just like you need to snap yourself the fuck out of that and be like it'll be better when this is done. Everything will be better than when this is done, because I can move on to the next thing, and then you can just keep working. And that's what I enjoy about doing music, is dropping it and making it and sharing it with people, not sitting on it. You know what I mean? I mean, making it is really my favorite part, but if I'm gonna share it, I'm gonna share it. I can't just, oh yeah, I'm gonna drop new music. Oh yeah, I'm gonna drop new music. Like, you really need to, well, that depends what your goal is. I can never say I can never say like not dropping all the music that you make is some like sin. You know what I'm saying? Because everybody has their own way of going about things. So for me, if I have like a bunch of songs built up, I need to find the tasks. What do I need to do to drop this? What exactly do I need to do to promote this? What do I need to do to get this to as many ears as I can? Breaking down every goal, every little thing that I need to do into steps, and then holding myself accountable for taking those steps and doing those things or not doing them, and holding myself accountable and nobody else when I don't get them done. Like, that's a really big part. You definitely can't blame anybody else for shit that you're not doing. That shit's fucking stupid. Like, I'm sorry if you are, but that's a really easy way to get sucked into a really bad place. So, yeah, accountability is important. Next topic, I just looked at it on my phone. I'm trying to remember, but I can't really remember. So I'll
knowing when to give yourself a break.
Yeah, you could have just said that. Knowing when to give yourself a break is also important, right? And this is, I think I touched on this, I forget exactly what episode, but there was a point when I touched on this, giving yourself a break and almost knowing that, always at it isn't always for everybody. Some people can do that, and all power to you. But if you are the type of person that needs to go hard, ease up, that's a way to go about things. If you're the type of person to go a little less hard consistently, that's a way to go. There are so many different ways to go about the shit. You can never think that there's one option, but you always need to be focusing on doing things and moving forward and getting things done, because it's really easy to work your ass off, get burnt out, and then you're like, I just did all that shit, and then you get sucked back in the cycle of not doing anything. Like, I've done that. I did that like after Mental Warfare, and like no, because I started recording Hold Your Peace right after Hold Your Peace. I sort of got sucked into that, and then started the project with Terror, and now we're back on the bullshit. So always have things either written down in the back of your head, just things that you're working towards, things that you have to do, because then you can, when you get stuck or when you get to a point where you're like, fuck, like, or you start finding time in your day to do bullshit that's not really taking you steps forward, you need to take a step back and look at that and be like, okay, what's the actual goal here? What's going on? What are the steps I need to take to get to that goal? Or the things I'm doing every day, those things. And if they're not, reevaluate. So definitely don't feel bad if you work your ass off and you feel like you need to ease up. But also, I think an important point as a part of that is, like, you can be consistent and not grind your fucking ass off all the time. You know what I mean? You can be consistent and get things done every day and get things done from week to week and not burn yourself out entirely. You got to find time to you got to find time to relax, and you got to find R&R time. So finding the time to give yourself a break, I think, is really important. Not too long of a break. We don't take vacations out here, but you know, just finding time every day to reflect on. Also, that's a big part is taking time every day to reflect on what you did throughout the day and evaluating that and just seeing, is that what I is that what I wanted to get done today? Is that really what I wanted to get done? Did that put me closer to the position that I want to be in? You got to think about these things. So yeah, that's second to last topic, I believe. You want to tell me the last one, Ben?
Working harder versus smarter.
Yeah, so that's kind of a part of the developing a good work ethic. I think it's important I guess that's sort of part of what I was just saying, is like when you feel like you're working your ass off every day, you got to reflect on the work that you're actually doing, not just the feeling that you get after being tired from a day of working your ass off. So yeah, it's like you really gotta to analyze that shit and be objective about it. And if you can't be objective about it, then start getting other people to be objective for you. You gotta start an accountability system almost. And I guess we're going back to accountability a lot here, which is a part of the I feel like accountability and work ethic go hand in hand, because having a good work ethic and having a heavy work ethic, I feel like, are two different things. Working your ass off all the time versus doing the right things every day is a big difference. Yeah, Ben.
Also, like, I think another word that might help you differentiate between those two is like self-discipline.
Mm-hmm.
Because you can't have, you know, self-accountability, and you can't have a good work ethic without that.
About being disciplined.
Yeah, without, like, you know, if you tell yourself you're gonna go make a song, and you're gonna wake up at 8 a.m. and make the beat for it, and yada yada yada, and you know you wake up and it's like 7:30, and you're like, I'm not gonna get out of bed. I'll make the beat at like 10 or something like that.
Yeah.
But you know, having that type of energy for certain things, it might seem small, but that plays a role in probably every aspect of your life, no matter if it's like work like a job, or you know, a hobby, or like chores around the house, or whatever it may be. That, you know, that carries over in every aspect of your life. That having that mentality of you can just push things back and do it at the last minute.
Yeah.
Versus, you know, creating a schedule, or maybe not even like a real schedule, but like a mental one, and sticking to it, and actually doing the things that you're going to say that you're going to do, and doing them right and doing them well.
Yeah. It takes a lot of work to get there. But yeah, I think slowly just pushing yourself to the point. And I guess this is sort of like a random caveat, but I feel like finding other things within your life besides that one passion where you can be accountable and you can work on this work ethic throughout life, whether that's getting a job, whether that's working out every day, whether that's picking up an instrument if you're not a musician, or whatever the fuck. It's finding something else to drive your work ethic, and like to spark the, oh, I got that thing done today, that thing that's gonna make me better and going to compound into, you know, the person that I'm gonna be 5 years from now.
It's happiness.
You know, that's like it's a whole thing. So I guess this episode might be, I'm not gonna wrap it up just yet, relax. I guess this might be a little shorter of an episode, because I guess the topic didn't really go that long, but Tara's also waiting outside. I told him he couldn't come inside while we were recording this episode because he smells. No, because I just didn't want them to interrupt the middle of this episode. So yeah, I'm just gonna sort of go back. I'll summarize it a little bit and sort of give my whole. I'll give a little bit more context into my work ethic a little bit. So I would say the best method, if you need like a better schedule, or if you need a better way to get things done and you want to work on your work ethic every single day, I would say that it's important to, when you get up every day, make a list of the things that you want to get done throughout that day, and make sure all of these things are things that are going to compound into, that are going to create interest into whatever it is that you either want to get better at, or whatever it is, right? Whether it's homework, whether it's like something you want to get done or what you want to get better at, right? Chip away at it every single day and hold yourself accountable for the things that you do well, right? Like, you need to look at the things that you're doing well and the things that you're doing right, and be like, yeah, I did that shit, and you can feel good about it. You know, I feel like this whole episode's been a little bit like, don't get all up on yourself, like da 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 da, like, you know, like just because you feel like you did something throughout the day doesn't mean you did, yada yada yada. When you do something and you can look back on it and be like, I got that shit done today, you are also allowed to have that, because that's an important part of having a good work ethic, is being able to reward yourself when you get those things done, because it's almost like creating habits is what generates a good work ethic, is creating the good habits and trying to get rid of the bad ones. The bad ones might include things like making excuses and putting things off, to lying to yourself when you think you got something good done, or you put a lot of time, you put 20 minutes into something when you easily could have put 2 hours into it, right? Those are like some really bad habits that a lot of people, I feel like, develop through school, but I feel like you can turn those bad habits into, or not turn them into bad habits, but you can sort of get rid of those and create good habits. Like when you have an idea, you write it down in your calendar, or if you have an idea to do something that you can do within the next 5 minutes, you do it in the next 5 minutes. Or you know, writing down all your tasks on a whiteboard or in a journal or on a piece of paper every day, or writing your goals down every morning, or starting a journal, just doing something every single fucking day that's like, that sets you up for success, right? It sounds like I'm a productivity journal writer, you know what I mean? It sounds like who's that guy that does the 4 hour?
Gary V.
It sounds like I'm Gary V right now. But, you know, I feel like that shit's true. And when it comes to my situation, like, I get up every day and I'm like, okay, what do I need to get done today? Do I need to call Terror and plan some promo shit? Do I need to... And there are certain things I do every day just because I want to get better at them as well, right? That's a little hint to next week's episode, I think. Doing things every single day and just getting slightly better at them every day and practicing, and, you know, but being objective about the things that you are getting done, right? Because it is also easy, as we've mentioned a bunch of times, to think that you're getting things done and really being counterproductive, because you assume that, you know, whatever it is you're doing every day, I don't have any examples in my brain right now, is enough to get you to the position where you want to be, but it's really not. So I think we're probably gonna wrap it up around there. What time are we at?
6:42.
42 minutes. All right, I guess it's a little bit shorter of an episode. If anybody's in the chat has any questions, run them within like the next 2 minutes. I'll wait for you guys.
The only thing that's been said is Aiden said #grind till my dick fall off.
My dick fell off years ago.
Oh yeah, same.
So yeah, I don't think anybody's gonna have any questions on this episode, but
I don't think so either. But
I'll give you guys a few minutes. Do you have any comments about, you know, finding your work ethic, finding, holding yourself accountable? Do you have any tips? Do you have anything?
I think if you're a person that kind of struggles with that, you can start with really, really small things. What I do is, like, when I wake up, as soon as I wake up, I might like lay in my bed for 20-30 minutes, but when I actually wake up, I'll like immediately make my bed, right? And I'll like pick up any like clothes on the floor in my room.
Starting with something that's
you
like,
start
that
with something that's
activates you.
easy. It's really not too hard to do. Now granted, if your room's really fucking messy, you might have to like clean it one day, and then just every day you kind of wake up and maintain that. Really, really small things. Like I drink a bottle of water. At least maybe 1 or 2 in the morning. I have like that little that pull-up bar that I showed you. I'll use that in the morning. Not like a set amount. Just, you know, every time I walk in and out of my room, just do as many until I get tired and then just stop. It's not like you have to you have to do 100 in fucking 10 minutes. Like, just, you don't have to, like, if you're not a workout person, which I'm not even really. I just bought that because like fucking bored. Why not? It's like $40. Works well. And then you could even incorporate that to like I know a lot of some people don't like to eat breakfast, but making sure you eat breakfast or something, you know, eat something by a certain time in the morning, like starting off small and structuring your morning, and then carrying that out throughout your day. That'll give you the baseline to kind of implement other things.
Yeah,
like work
because I
or
feel like the
chasing.
most successful people have like those crazy morning schedules and shit.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like those, like you start your day with productivity. You start your day
Yeah.
with work ethic, and the rest of your day will be.
Yeah. Because then it'll just be second nature to your brain.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, well, if I have to do this by this, well, then that means I need to be to this studio by this time.
Yeah.
You know, and I need to have this done by this, and you kind of just incorporate it into the rest of your life, and, it, you know, like I said before, how like that laziness and like how you're if you're very easily willing to push things off, if you can change that to the opposite, you know, where you're just gonna get things done, you have a structure to everything, it carries out in every aspect of your life. You know, relationships, friendships, work, doesn't matter.
Agreed. I think that's a good note to wrap on. So, thank you guys for watching. If you made it to this point in the episode, I fucking love you. Thank you for sticking around. Yeah, so thanks for coming. This has been episode 14 of Revelations with me, Kid Revel. The work ethic episode, I guess. So yeah, don't forget to like and subscribe if you haven't yet. We're trying to finesse this algorithm. That helps out a lot.
Yes, sir.
If you're watching this after the fact, we go live every Monday at 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. And yeah, have a good night, you guys. Be safe. Don't drink and drive. And I'll talk to y'all very soon.